face. Yeah, fuckboy buckethead. Get fucked me.
Oh man, it's episode 99 of Radio Friends with everybody. I hope everybody had a fun, what do they call that, a Yule or whatever. Sorry there wasn't an episode last week.
I faked my death, bitch!
안녕하세요, 트와이스 지우입니다. 해보겠습니다.
Hey, you're not allowed to tell me I can't do things.
I got mental fucking illness, I'm bored!
Wow.
Anyway, I thought this week we could take a gander at some very underrated Swedish melodic death, black, whatever metal type stuff. And we're going to start it off with Ablaze My Sorrow. Now, a lot of people probably make fun of me for listening to a band called Ablaze My Sorrow.
I don't care what you people think of me.
Surprisingly, not actually a zany metalcore, vaguely screamo, emo, whatever-ish band from the early 2000s. Instead, it's mid-90s melodic death metal. The band name is very much a part of that scene, specifically the way that Niklas Sundin would write lyrics for Dark Tranquillity and In Flames. He had this very poetic, semi-gothic, neo-romantic thing going on, and calling your band Ablaze My Sorrow fits right in with that milieu. Without any farther ado, let's see what the hell these motherfuckers sound like. Wow! Right out of the gate, these guys are fast and fucking furious. You got two guitars and a bass. They're all going super fast and nasty with the melodies. Production is very good, and as I mentioned earlier, the guy that produced that first Eucharist album also produced this, and this sounds amazing. That first Eucharist album has like one of the worst sounds of all time. I don't understand it. I'm like... It's hard to concentrate when this is on because it's so intense all the time. It's like early Dark Tranquillity turned up to 11. Little bits of clean vocals and more laid-back melodies, but even then the drums doing all kinds of weird, tricky double bass rolls and such. This album is basically really hard to get now. I bought a copy because I'm a cool dude, but it came out on No Fashion Records, which is sort of the mecca for this kind of stuff in the mid-90s, and then has since died off, and this thing never got reprinted, unfortunately. It's really fucking good, though. Like, this whole album is maybe half an hour long, and it's just a constant barrage of shit. Apart from, they did that stupid 90s thing where, like, during the last track, then there's like 10 minutes of silence and there's another song. I don't know why bands did that. There's some wacky shit going on with CDs, like Alice in Chains did that all the time. It's fucking stupid. Don't do that. But what you should do is go out and at least attempt to find some way to listen to this album because it is amazing. Up next, we have Miscreant, a band I actually found out about from a YouTube channel where they were discussing albums that were very hard for them to get into, but were very rewarding. I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel. All I remember is that his intro music was like something from like ESPN or the NFL or some shit. It was kind of goofy, but really good channel. And if you can remember what the hell it was, like let a brother know, because I can't find that shit anymore. But Miscreant, very interesting, very cool stuff. That Ablaze My Sorrow album you just heard came out in 1996, and it sounds like a 1996 melodic death metal album, albeit one that's very, very intense. This album came out in 1994, which is an interesting time to be playing melodic death metal. The genre is still in its infancy, and all the stuff that you might draw on as influences for making a melodic death metal band at that time period was considerably stranger than what was to come later on. You had basically Sentence's North From Here album, which was like this very weird, icy Arctic take on the second Atheist album, with a lot of like just strange, frenzied shit going on. And then you had early At the Gates, which still had Alf Svensson in it at the time, and that was way fucking weirder than their later stuff. So you had like Cenotaph from Mexico, and they were really weird and strange too. And these guys were also very, very weird. 1994 melodic death metal stuff. Ablaze My Sorrow is actually still going nowadays. Miscreant, however, broke up and most of them joined the power metal band Axenstar. So similar to what Luciferian did, where they all formed the power metal band Lost Horizon after breaking up. So we have a very strange integration of acoustic guitar and distorted guitar. This album, Dreaming Ice, came out on Wrong Again Records, who are another label that is no longer around, whose stuff never gets reissued and is very expensive to buy. I also own this album because I'm cool. And you can see what I mean about early melodic death metal was at the abstract and strange part of the metal genre. Look at these fucking vocals. This sounds like the dude from Yes. They do a lot of strange stop-starty transitions like that. The album cover actually looks a lot like the cover of the first At the Gates album too, so definitely an influence on these guys. Whereas the album cover for Ablaze My Sorrow was a Kristen Valen bit. Oh man, that's so dissonant and strange. A Kristen Valen bit with lots of flowers and pretty ladies and whatnot. Very 1996 melodic death metal. This is very 1994. It has weird, creepy tremolo riffs being played against acoustic guitars, and it's exceptionally loud bass, and kind of strange jazzy drumming as opposed to the all-out blasting of Ablaze My Sorrow. The last band we will be looking at this evening are called Decameron, and out of all these bands, this is the only one that Daniel Ekeroth, the writer of Swedish death metal, likes, which I'm somewhat surprised by because he just really hates black metal and melodic death metal, so me and him got almost opposite tastes in music. But he says about Decameron, which translates to, they created cool and melodic death black metal with a lot of good arrangements and ideas. They were actually a very good and technical band that deserved more attention than they got. So how about that? Daniel Ekeroth actually repping a crazy, obscure melodic death metal band. Who'd have thunk it? Maybe more black metal, melodic black metal than melodic death metal, but there's a lot of thrash here too. This is another No Fashion album. If we had something from Black Sun Records, we'd literally just have the trifecta of forgotten Swedish labels that are put out a bunch of stuff and then it's hard to get their stuff nowadays. I own this album too because I'm a cool dude, as I've already mentioned. Guys in this band just sort of went their separate ways. They joined Swordmaster, Dissection, all over the place. This might have been some of the coolest stuff any of these guys ever did, though. They're big into motivic variations. They ride this riff into the dirt a little bit with slight layer variations. They've changed it from that more melodic death metal riff into a more thrash metal riff right here. It's still using the same notes. They're just changing up their right-hand technique to take it all in a new direction. And like Miscreant, they're a fan of the full stop transition. You can almost consider these guys to be the suffocation of melodic black metal in that sense. This riff is really, really cool. They introduced the melody with that palm muted thing right there. And then darken it up with a slightly different version before bringing back that initial palm muted melody in more of a black metal manner. This melody right here, this is some of the best of this genre. And look at that cool little layer they put over it as a counterpoint. It's really beefing it up. This record was also produced by the guy that made the first Eucharist album and that Ablaze My Sorrow album. I wonder if he was like the in-house guy for No Fashion. Maybe. Lead guitar in this album is pretty cool too. Very effective as a transition device and also as an exponent of emotional climaxes. Look at that thrash. It's like melodic black death thrash, maybe comparable to that second Sorin album, if you've ever heard that. Out of the 3 albums I played, like, they're all amazing, you should get all of them, but this one especially needs to be reissued just so that it can hopefully influence some people to write more music like this. Because I haven't heard anything else out of Sweden or really any other country that quite scratches the strange, technical, emotional, melodic, thrashy, dark itch that this does. Later on in the album, they work in a lot of Voivod stuff. They almost kind of turn into a strange black metal vector. This cool melodic solo. Not really showing off, just more cool melodies. Well, I guess that part's a little show-offy. But it's awesome, so I like it. And like I said, everybody in this band was in like other bigger bands from the time period. Maybe more of a project band than a band proper. I don't know. But it's really good, and you should go get some Decameron and Miscreant and Ablaze My Sorrow into your life if you know what's good for you.
I'm going back up. Don't summon me again unless you're ready for that pain.
Unless you want to be really like Jube. Is it Jube? How do you pronounce that fucking dude's like handle? The metal office. Jube? Yeah, Jeb. I don't care how it's pronounced. It's Jeb now.